Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Spectre, the 24th James Bond film, and it's once again directed by Sam Mendes. And it's the final Bond, of course, that I'll be reviewing on this channel, because it is, of course, if you didn't know, the most recent Bond. Sam Mendes returns. Of course, he directed Skyfall. And this was a film, well, to this day, it's still pretty divisive. And there was this big hype surrounding it, of course, and yeah, it did do amazingly at the box office. There was a big hype surrounding it. When I heard that Sam Mendes was returning, um, you know, and Christoph Waltz was playing the villain, and things like this. I was just absolutely pumped for this film. And I went to see it at the cinema when it came out, and as the film went on, I kind of found myself less and less engaged, and just when I came out, I was really disappointed with this film, and I suppose back then when I came out, the taste in my mouth, I suppose basically on this rewatch, I like it a bit more, but still, it's one of the Bonds that I don't really feel much for. And yeah, it's the only. It's again. I've just on this rewatch. It's the second time I viewed this, so I never saw it again. In between, when I saw it at the cinema when it came out and now, so it's like Quantum of Solace, really, in that sense. But yeah, I do prefer it to Quantum of Solace. But once again, it's another disappointing Bond for me. And yeah, it does not live up to the hype. And I like it a little bit more now, as I say, but still got many problems with this film. And as I've said in my past, some of my past reviews, I was more when I saw this again, I was more excited for what Bond has in store in future films, as opposed to actually my enjoyment for this film. So the opening scene, many people praise this opening scene, and it's got the big tracking shot that follows Bond through this kind of festival, and yeah, it's a bit pointless actually. There's a bit where Daniel Craig comes onto the roof, and yeah, he looked quite cool, and it was good how the camera moved and stuff. But yeah, this whole sequence is it's a bit disappointing. Once they get into the helicopter, it picks up a little bit. But really, on paper, this stunt sequence, it should have been a lot better, I think, than what it actually turned out to be. Many people love this scene. I'm a bit mixed about it. I think some of the stuff that goes on, the hand-to-hands within the helicopter, and some of the tension that's built is really good. And the way the music's used at the end is good, after the chase. But there's problems that I feel in the way it's been shot and edited. There's a lot of barrel rolls and stuff like that, and things going on where Daniel Craig's nearly fallen out. But yeah, it does not feel like they captured it as well as they could have done. There's a lot of long shots far away of the helicopter, but yeah, they're showing like all the people in the festival as well and stuff, and you see the helicopter in the distance. I think there's too many shots of this because it kind of makes it less dynamic and like tense and everything. It just kind of takes away from that. I feel just pointless shots from far away that kind of they slow it down, and also they just make it less of a tense and an intensity of the actual action scene. And as well, it's just a bit stale the way it's been shot. A bit dull, really, considering what they were actually doing. Some stunning stunts, really, when you think about it. But Daniel Craig was great in that scene, and the way he acted and everything, he pulled it off really well. But yeah, and there's some stuff with the editing that's not quite sharp enough for me. And what could have been a really great sequence, for me, it's fine. It's flawed. But for an opening action scene for Bond, it does fall short, and it is a bit disappointing. And then we see the lead into the, Daniel Craig. He looks into this ring that he's acquired, obviously, And yeah, it leads into the credits. It's got like this octopus kind of thing. It leads through the ring into the credits. Now the credits. Very disappointing as well, actually, for me. The way they've been put together is it's a bit random. I feel it's not really. There's loads of things like octopuses and everything, and just people walking about in just random directions, and then yeah, you see different clips from past Bonds. You know, the Daniel Craig ones, because of course he was in 3 Bonds before this. They only showed Casino Royale and Skyfall, though. I think they're just trying to figure out Quantum of Solace. Nothing really happened in that film anyway, so there's no point. But yeah, it showed some clips from Casino Royale and Skyfall. It would have been fine, but I think in the context of this, the way the rest of the credits is, it doesn't really fit. And yeah, there's a lot of different things that just aren't edited well together in this credits. They just look a bit fake and stuff, and then you've just got people walking about, just random stuff. It's just weird. It feels weird and a bit pretentious, actually. I felt. Yeah, it's just weird credits. The song is not great, I don't think, either. When I first heard this song, I was disgusted that this isn't a Bond film, but yeah, I don't hate it as much anymore. It's fine. Yeah, it's barely fine, and it's not great at all. I don't really like it. I don't listen to it really, like I do with a lot of the Bond themes. Yeah, Sam Smith, I'm not a massive fan of. Well, I'm not. Usually, but yeah, it's just there. It's fine. I don't like the chorus though, especially. But yeah, it's used fairly well. The instrumental throughout the film. The score is fine again. Thomas Newman returns, of course. He worked with Mendes on Skyfall, and yeah, it's scored fairly well for most of the film. But yeah, opening action scene disappointing, credits disappointing. And yeah, as the film, begins to start going, yeah, the first half isn't great at all for me. And there's a lot of scenes where Bond's just kind of going to different things. Again, it just feels like he's going through the motions. There's this really weird scene. I think, yeah, it's this woman he's following, and he goes to her apartment, and he just sort of, he seduces her. I thought that was really crap, that scene. I don't know why. It was just It did not feel like there was any chemistry, first of all, between the two of them, and it just felt really weird because it's like he was. Yeah, it's just a weird scene and just kind of dragged out the film a bit. She was played by Monica Bellucci. Yeah, she just makes an appearance there and stuff. And yeah, she has some relation to the plot, which I won't ruin, but. Yeah, she's not great in this film, and I think them scenes are a bit pointless and just dull, really. But yeah, no, supporting cast in this film, you'd think, as I said before, Christoph Waltz, Django Unchained, and Inglourious Bastards. The villain in that film, the way he plays that villain is one of the best in cinema, and he's an absolutely stunning actor. Surprisingly, he's not. It's probably to do mostly with the writing, but yeah, I wasn't really wowed by him in this film at all. He plays Blofeld, which isn't a spoiler really. But yeah, Blofeld is back in this film. His first appearance, they say, since Diamonds Are Forever. But there was a guy in, I think it was For Your Eyes Only, where, it was meant to be Blofeld, but it wasn't officially apparently Blofeld. When he fell down that chute in the opening scene. But yes, it's Blofeld is back, which is a good sign, because it looks like this whole film as well. It's like they're trying to bring everything together, and kind of it's part of the reboot. It's a very ambitious film. They're trying to bring everything together and then set up this. They're probably going to try and do some sort of continuity, and all the films from now really are probably going to contribute to this this wider whole. But yeah, his performance I don't think it's not bad, and I did feel stuff for him before towards the end of the film. But yeah, it does fall short, and I think it's to do with the writing mainly. But I was surprised that I wasn't wowed by him in this film. But as I say, this film is not written too well. But yeah, we're introduced to Blofeld in this quite famous scene now. In this massive hall, and there's all these people around him, and obviously, it's Spectre, the organisation. The way that this is introduced, I saw it on the trailer, and it looked like it would be this epic, intro for Blofeld and everything. And I really have problems with this scene. It's quite a divisive scene. Some say they don't like it. Others praise it, and the way it's the atmosphere and everything, and the way the reveal. I think it's really drawn out, and there's not enough going on to sustain this scene. It is pretentious for me, I feel. That's something I never really say about Bond, but I found it was pretentious, the way they overly built this up, like the lighting and everything, and just the silence. It didn't come off well in this film, and that can be done, really, really well, but did not fit it, and I didn't think the scene worked really. And then you've got a bizarre tonal break as well within this scene where Bautista, Dave Bautista, the actor, he's like the henchman in this film. He's just a jobber really, and he kind of just digs his fingernails into this guy's eyes. Not necessary in this film, I don't think. It just didn't work in that scene. It just didn't come across well for me, and it just broke the tone as well. But yeah, the scenes as well. That scene is very, very boring. I didn't really feel like I was engaged in it, which I should have been. But yeah, after this scene, it gets going a bit more, and once Bond comes into contact with the Bond girl, played by Seydoux. She plays Madeline. It has some more things going for it. The romance isn't great, I don't feel, though, in this film. It's not like Casino Royale or anything. There's a little bit of chemistry there between them, but I don't really think her character's great on her own. She's given some relation to the plot and to another character as well. Mr. White is back again, and back again. He's been in like every Bond film of the Craigs, and I felt like it was just dragged out. His appearance in this film. But yeah, she does have this kind of somewhat of a relation to some of the the past films and stuff, without ruining it. But yeah, the Mr. White scenes not very good, a bit dull, and I just felt like he's back again. He's not really adding anything to the film. It's just they latched on to dragging these things out. It wasn't in Skyfall, but he's been in Quantum Man Casino, and I don't think he was necessary. But that was one of the subplots. But the Bond girl I don't feel is great in this film. I felt a bit more towards to the end, towards the end of the film. And the ending's pretty good as well, actually, the way it ends. But I didn't really feel like she added too much to the film. She's somewhere in the middle of the Bond girls, probably. She's not a complete write-off and lifeless 1D character like some of the Bond girls, but she's not one of the best either. And the action scenes in this film, there's a pretty okay car chase, in the first hour of the film. Again, it could have been done better, and it wasn't too good. It was okay, by Bond standards, the action in this film though throughout is not great. It falls short. It's to do with some of the editing, and the way the film's lit, I'm not a big fan of, and the actual cinematography of this film, I feel it's a bit in places it's a bit clinical, and also just a bit dull as well. There's scenes where I can't really quite get a feel and see what's going on some of the time, and there's no way is it as good a shot as Skyfall, which used colours and everything masterfully. This is a bit lifeless in that, and it's not got a lot of depth really to the cinematography. There's some parts that are okay, but considering the locations and stuff, which were really quite something in this film, they wasn't captured as well as it could have been, I felt. But the action throughout, there's a couple of peaks but generally it's a bit generic, and yeah, I think the action could have been a lot better throughout this film. Um, there is a train action scene towards the end of the film, um, which I think, there was a hand-to-hand between Bautista's character and Bond, and yeah, that was a good scene until the end of that action scene. Stupid and undermined the what happened there. But that hand to hand was really good, I thought. But yeah, other than that and a couple of bits, it really falls short. I think the action in this film. Yeah, but some of the supporting cast, Ralph Fiennes is back. I didn't mention him, in Skyfall because I didn't feel like I wanted to spoil anything. Turn away now if you haven't seen Skyfall. But yeah, he plays M, of course. He's the new M taken over, and I felt he was good in this film. But unfortunately, he's got given this subplot that doesn't. It's not very good. His subplot. There's a character that's called C in this film, played by Andrew Scott, and the scenes that he was in with Ralph Fiennes and Ben Whishaw as well. Yeah, I didn't like them scenes. I thought they were really unnecessary, and I didn't like that character of C. He wasn't funny, and it just wasn't great in this film. I just thought them scenes really dragged it out as well. But yeah, Q is back obviously, and Ben Whishaw plays him really well as well. Naomie Harris is back. She's given some things to do, mainly early on, but generally, yeah, the characters aren't used as well as they could have been. The supporting cast. And certainly Christoph Waltz is not given a character that's written well really in this film. But yeah, they don't really bring the film up too much. But the second half, I feel like this is a mixed bag, but it's got more peaks than the first. There is this, it's an ambitious film, as I said before, and they try and there's quite a few bits where they try and bring things together and that, and it kind of falls short in places. And there's this torture scene as well with Bond and Blofeld. That was really weird. It didn't fit the tone of the film, I felt. And yeah, it's just a bit too dark as well. I don't know, yeah, this film has weird tonal issues. There's bits ups and downs of the tone. I don't feel it was very consistent, like Skyfall, for example. And yeah, I wasn't not a fan of this scene. I thought it went on too long, and it was just not a very good scene. And the whole bit where Blofeld's one of his hideouts, it takes place near the end of the film. I felt that was really quite bland overall, and just stretched out. And Blofeld, they kind of inject a little bit of humour into his character in these bits, and it doesn't fit. I felt. And then there's another scene where Daniel Craig as well is walking through this room, this hallway, and then he looks to different rooms and you see like pictures of past Bond films, and it's literally just pictures on a wall in a room with nothing there. Not good. That's a bit shit, isn't it? That's the sort of how unoriginal this film is, I feel, in places, and that felt short as well. But yeah, the ending chase scenes with Blofeld and stuff, I felt these were quite good. On the boat and everything. There was issues, but they were some of the best parts of the film, and I did feel something at the end involving that with Blofeld and stuff. But I think that was where Christoph Waltz kind of gave what he could, and they actually brought him in a meaningful way to wrap up things. That was one of the best bits of the film. So yeah, overall this film, as you know, I've given loads of issues. I've got many issues with this film. It's somewhere in between of me liking it and not liking it. I suppose I barely like I enjoy it a bit, but it's kind of in between. It's below average film basically. It's not quite weak. I think it's mediocre. Doesn't amount to too much, but it's got some things that are solid, and some things going for it, and it does try to, it's an ambitious film. It does try and do something that really, yeah, none of the Bonds have done before, really. But it does fall short, and I don't think, I think it's a messy film, yeah, in terms of the structure of it and the way that all the elements are balanced out. I don't think there's a lot of balance. Not a very coherent film, really. And yeah, as well, I didn't mention there's a couple of bits early on. The exposition is a bit all over the place, and just a bit bland and uninspired. This definitely is not a film that lives up to the hype at all for me. And it's mediocre. I'd give it a 55%. It's one of the worst Bonds. Yeah, it is, but it's not quite on the level. Yeah, it's much better than Quantum of Solace, but just nowhere near as good as Casino Royale and Skyfall for me. And yeah, it's a shame because Sam Mendes, he was absolutely brilliant in terms of how he handled Skyfall and brought that together. And yeah, I was really excited, but I don't think this film delivered, really. And you've got potential there, you've got a really good supporting cast, but they're not really given much to do that's meaningful. And a lot of the scenes, as I said, with Ralph Fiennes and Ben Whishaw and stuff, they're a bit bland. And the things that, the script is just bland for the most part and generic. It's just, it doesn't really give you anything, doesn't deliver. And I think there's many issues with the character of Blofeld in this film, and for what could have been one of the best Bond villains, really, considering how good Christoph Waltz was in the films I've seen him. It is disappointing, but as I say, it's got some things going for it. Some of the action scenes, and Daniel Craig, of course, he is really good in this film. Not as good as his two best films, but much better than Quantum of Solace. And I don't think he's ever given a bad performance of the Bonds yet, and I don't think he will on this Bond 25. I think that's going to be hopefully something really special. But yeah, Daniel Craig was really good, and there were some, of course, good scenes. And overall, it wasn't bad. I don't think, but some of the things it was trying to go for, it didn't quite deliver. And there was a lot of problems with editing and stuff. And generally, it doesn't quite mesh, the film, and it doesn't quite come together. That's what it is. It doesn't quite culminate to achieve what it's set out to do, I feel. And there's a lot of tonal issues and stuff throughout the film. But yeah, 55%. Not a great way to end this Bond rewatch, but just to say I don't dislike this film, really. I don't hate it. But I'm more looking forward to what they're doing now with the next Bonds, because of what the things they set up, and the fact that they are going for this more. They are actually going to try and do this mythology and bring everything together, and this this Bond universe really is really something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, overall, pretentious stuff in it as well, and things that don't quite work tonally. Pretty bland characters overall. The new characters are introduced, and while it's ambitious, it just doesn't quite come together and achieve its aims, I feel. But yeah, Spectre. It's better than I remembered it being, when I came out of the cinema. But not a Bond that I really care for. Not a Bond I really felt much for and enjoyed too much. But it does drag at times. It just doesn't sustain. I'm looking forward to the next Bond. So this film has set up some stuff, and of course they can kind of rectify its issues. With how that was set up as well, and maybe make it more clearer, and bring it together. Use them things that were set up in this film in a much better way, more meaningful. And Spectre, disappointing Bond, and it's the last Bond I'll be reviewing, of course. But Bond has not ended yet on my channel, of course. I'm a massive Bond fan, obsessed with some of the Bonds. And there'll be, of course, the ranking of all the Bonds, which I said I'd be doing. That'll be coming in the next few weeks, I think. because I've still got to decide on a couple of the placements. You know, my number 1 and 2 are still, you know, up and down a little bit. And yeah, there's a couple of Bonds where maybe near the bottom that I'm not really got a full, you know, judgment on yet as to you know, the ordering of them. But yeah, so it'll be a few weeks before that comes, just so you know, I can sit on some of the experience I've had with Bond. However, there'll be more Bond-related videos. I'll be doing my all the Bond themes ranked at some point. Not just the top 10 or top 15. I'll try and do all of them. It all shouldn't take too long. And then I'll be doing, you know, the Bond girls ranked, all of them. Things like that. Yeah, and you know, there's no ruling out doing an analysis videos for some of the Bond films. And, you know, maybe a couple of scenes I'll analyse at some point. That should be interesting. But yeah, this is the last Bond I'll be reviewing on this channel, I feel. Well, of course. Yeah, so thanks for watching all of the Bond reviews, and especially, you know, this one. And yeah, thanks for watching, and check out the other reviews on my channel. Thanks.